Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the live webinar for Making Tax Digital. Can you please confirm if everyone can hear me? My name is Faizan, and I will be the host for you today. I work for Legend Fusions, and the Legend Fusion is in the market for good 15 years now. I'm serving Legend Fusion for 4 to 5 years now. My current role is Director Advisory, and I will be heading the project for MTD for the income tax going forward. My co-host is Matthew. Over to you, Matthew, for your introduction.
Perfect, thank you. So I'm a partner consultant here at Xero. I've been here a little over 3 years now. Prior to that, I worked in practice as an accountant for 7 years. Been quite heavily involved with MTD for income tax over the last sort of 15 months or so, helping accountants implement it in practice and getting them ready essentially to serve you guys for this new regulatory change which is coming in.
Thanks, Matt. We'll be running a show for you guys today, and Matt, as he has a wider expertise with MTD and has a great relation with HMRC and have worked many accountant in the past. So he will be guiding us today how the MTD will work, how it will be rolled out, and what are the objectives that HMRC want to achieve, and how we will receive or proceed with the compliance of MTD. Before we jump in, just a quick housekeeping update from my end. So the session will be for 60 minutes. In the session, we'll be covering mainly about what is MTD, how would it work, why HMRC need to roll out the program, what are the deadlines, who will be affected by this program, and how the Xero will support the client with MTD and their compliance, and how the Legend Fusion with the partnership with the Xero will help everyone who needs support with MTD and their filing in line with the compliance as well. In the end of the session, we'll have 10 minutes for question and answer. So you're most welcome to post any question during our chat, on the chat during the webinar. And in the end, I will go through all of the questions and try to answer as many as we can. So let's smash it. Are you ready, Matt, for the first one? Right.
Absolutely.
If we can have a bit of introduction of what MTD is and why HMRC is rolling it out, a kind of introduction, how it works and how it's going to be.
Yeah, so essentially the core principles of MTD is that you've got you have a higher frequency in reporting that you've got to send off to HMRC. You're required to keep digital records, and you're required also to file these MTD for income tax returns through compliant software, which is why I'm here today from that side of things. So historically, for sole traders, landlords, it's been a once a year situation where you're fine to keep paper records. It's one submission, it's due by the 31st of Jan. That's changing. You'll be having 4 quarterly updates, which will build out your year. You're required to keep digital records. On the digital record piece, it's not necessarily an Excel spreadsheet isn't a digital record in terms of HMRC. What that means is more so the source documents need to be scanned in as a PDF, and that would be compliant enough. Essentially, you'd need to have a copy somewhere on the cloud of the source PDF, like the source paper records, for you to be digitally compliant. And that's where sort of Xero comes in down the line.
Perfect. Amazing. So it is all amazing. So it is all about going digital. Good for the environment as well, right?
Yeah, less paper being thrown around accounting offices nowadays.
That's right. And getting rid of all of these files that we used to have in the offices. That's a good start. Right. So how MTD is being rolled out by HMRC, if we can have look at the historically, I know it started with the VAT, and now income tax is in question and going forward. What are the plans, and specifically for self-assessment, what are the deadline and how the process will start?
Yeah, so obviously we had the VAT MTD for VAT that came in April 2019. If I'm being completely honest, the change for that was very minimal compared to what we're seeing for MTD for income tax. Just purely down to the fact of a lot of people who are VAT registered were already using some sort of software to keep hold of their records, and they were used to the quarterly updates. However, now, as I've sort of already alluded to, you're going from once a year a touch point to your accountant to potentially 4 or 5 times a year, which isn't a bad thing. It will mean that you'll have sort of greater insight on your finances, etc., and they'll be able to provide extra services. And then when we move into sort of MTD for income tax side of things, so it starts tomorrow, basically, is when, if you choose calendar period ends rather than financial year ends, it will start tomorrow for you, and you'll be required to keep digital records from tomorrow, so this webinar is quite timely, and that's for anybody over 50,000. It will be over 50,000 turnover qualifying income. So that is your sole trade and rental income combined. There you go. Next slide. And from April 27, you've got the income thresholds. It drops down to 30. April 28 is 20,000. For MTD for corporation tax, if we do have any limited companies on here, you'll be glad to know they've canned the word MTD for corporation tax. So that won't be called that, but they will be looking at doing a corporation tax reform in the future. We don't know what that's going to look like, and it's probably quite a few years off that happening. And the 26 and 27 thresholds were announced in the last budget. Just sort of some of the learnings from, because I was in practice as an accountant when MTD for VAT came around. My clients that adopted the software a little bit earlier, generally speaking, they got, well, first of all, they got used to using it first. They've made it easier for them. Secondly, their bookkeeping charge came down from us because we weren't required to type in as much stuff manually, and they were sort of picking up a bit more. They were raising their own sales invoices, they were taking photos of their receipts, so the charge wasn't as heavy from us for that side of things, but it enabled us as a practice to provide relevant financial information to those clients to help them grow their businesses. And there's been a lot, I think pretty much every accountant I speak to from MTD for VAT, I would say that probably 80% of their clients which went into the scheme for MTD for VAT, which are all the VAT registered clients, could probably say the ones that have been on cloud software, the businesses have grown and bad debt has reduced because they are using online invoicing. They're not chasing it up as much. They can be using online payments, etc. So starting early on cloud software has loads of benefits, and we see here at Xero, we see it all the time. We've actually got a slide which I think if you've been on LinkedIn around technology space, you've probably seen it, where it's a shark and it says early adopters, innovators, etc., and then your late adopters and stuff, and it kind of shows the curve as to when people go into this, and the people that are early adopters tend to come out on front in the business world when adopting sort of the change.
Right. Okay. So what I understood is, of course, it starts from tomorrow, and the mandatory compliance is anyone who is a sole trader or is a landlord and their income is around 50,000. They have to be on the MTD. So that means they have to say goodbye to the paper version or the Excel version, and they have to have a software in place, same like the VAT, and they will not be able to proceed without a software that has been authorized or been recognized by HMRC. Is that what you're saying, right?
Yeah, exactly that.
And I think you also added that, of course, it's a compliance deadline for 50K client, but also it is recommendation and the best practice that anyone who fall in the next year, they have to start it early. So they can have a good visibility, they can manage their finances well, and they can be on top of the system as well. So they don't get panic or rush the next year when the system is in place. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly that. I'm sad enough
Amazing.
as even me as an ex-accountant that's now an employee at a company, I have a Xero subscription to manage our household finances. because it's easier to see what we're spending on and budget. That's the accountant speaking in me. So like just it's not mandatory or anything like that. That's just me being a little bit sad.
And I think it's a good thing as well. I remember back in days in 19 and 20 when the VAT came in to the MTD, everyone was getting panic how we're going to do it. And now, as an accountant, I feel the life is much easier. We can just go back and we can review the record, anything, specifically if there's a kind of an investigation at HMRC, we can go and we can look at the record and just easy thing, we can just produce it. And I think in a long run, I think it's kind of a very, very good thing. Yeah,
Yes,
of
absolutely.
course.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think where the problem will be, not the problem, but where the thing will be, instead of one annual return, it will be five quarterly and then a final return. A total in 5 or 6 returns will be there in place. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So you have to do a quarterly update for each business type. So if you were to have a sole trade and a couple of rental properties on the side, that would be 8 quarterly updates and one final declaration. So it'd bring it to 9 total returns from one. Um, so the admin burden obviously is going to increase massively. So what if you can get yourself set up early, used to it, put in the the documents on almost live as and when you receive them. So if you go to the petrol station and get fuel, you get given that receipt, take a photo of it as you're walking back to the car. Like little things like that will save you a lot of time in the long run from sitting down on a Friday evening having to go through a stack of receipts up, scanning them in or taking photos of them to upload to a software or such.
Okay, right. And another thing on the threshold, I think a lot of audience will have this in their mind. So it's only the people who deal as a sole trader and the landlord will be affected this year.
Yes.
And when we say the threshold is 50,000, so what does that mean? Is that mean is the only as a sole trader or as a landlord or as a combined turnover from the both income will is how they identify what is the threshold there?
Yeah, so it's combined turnover. So it's not your profit figures, it's your total sales number essentially. So it's total sales plus total rent is how the threshold is sort of factored in. There, year one, there are a couple of exemptions, but you're gonna go into it anyway from April 27, which is anybody with averaging adjustments and also anybody with trust income. So if you're part of a trust, you will be delayed until April 27 from it being mandatory for you, but there's nothing stopping you from getting ahead of the curve and starting to use software in advance so you can get used to it. And by the time it rolls around to you being mandatory drawn into this, that you're sorted and you don't need to stress about it. You're already very well used to how to use the software.
Okay, amazing. Again, just to get a bit more clarity, I'm going to put an example there. Correct me if I'm wrong. So, for example, if a person has a payroll income, let's say 40, 50,000, then also has a side, kind of a side hustle, he's selling online on eBay and making 20,000 in eBay, but also has a rental property where his gross rental is 30,000. So 30,000 gross rental plus 20,000 eBay income that is making him to hit on MTD, right?
Yes. Yeah. So any payrolled income is not included in this. It is
Uh,
purely self-employment and rental is all that's included in these thresholds.
And when it comes to reporting, for example, now we identify there are two sources of income as an eBay, for example, and as a landlord, one property rental income. So when they report their through MTD, they have to report both income through the software. Is that what it is, right?
Yes. Yeah, both incomes through software.
Software. Okay, amazing. Right. So let's move into the next slide. And I think it's already we pretty much covered like who's the sole trader and the landlord. We pretty much covered this slide. So let's move into the next one now. Right. I think we might going to need a bit more details how the software, specifically the Xero, is ideal for the platform. I know we work closely with Xero, and I know how good and amazing software is. Specifically, the new AI tools that's been introduced. It's make life very easy, integration with the bank and everything. But if you can tell me a bit more in detail how good the software is and how it will reduce the workload of these landlords and the sole trader.
Yeah, so we've been doing a lot in this space over sort of the last 12 months to try and make MTD as easy as possible for you guys who have self-employment and rental income. We've been been trying to sort of create a solution for you guys. So our solution will include something called our new smart document capture, which essentially is a tool for you to either email in receipts, invoices, letting statements. It will extract all of the data out, assign it a code, and then you can publish it into Xero. It kind of takes a lot of the brunt work out for you and guesswork because it is AI trained and we've been training it up. With the bank fee situation as well, it's the most useful tool for you in Xero. It's 24 hours behind, but it's pretty much live, roughly speaking. It's a day behind. You'll be able to see your bank balance inside of Xero as long as the feed's working okay, and you'll be able to sort of manage your finances that way. And all of that can be done through your mobile phone. So you don't need to boot up a laptop. You can do it on the go, check all of the information. And with regards to sort of digital record keeping, because we're cloud-based software, all of those records are digital, first of all. When you're uploading the documents, they're sat there in the file inbox, ready for the guys at Legends to process or for you to process. The bank feeds, it's all pulling through live. So it's completely digitally compliant. Just one thing on bank feeds as well. I know it sounds a bit scary connecting your bank to some accounting software which your accountant's going to access. The only thing that a bank feeder basically enables is it pulls down a bank statement, and that's it. No payments can be made, nothing of that sort of side of things. It's really secure. All of Xero is ISO 27001 certified company. So that's an international security standard. So everything on ours end is fully secure. When I log into my computer every morning, I have to go through about 3 levels of multi-factor authentication just to get into my work laptop. So you can tell we're fully secure on this. We've also been working on obviously the quarterly update side of things, and that's fully live now. So you'll be able to access that. And sort of what kind of sets Xero apart from some of our competitors in the market is the multi-source income side of things. So if you were to have sole trade and a couple of rental properties, you wouldn't need to take out a subscription for both streams of income. You could do that in one single Xero subscription. So we're planning on doing another webinar sometime in April to go into this in more detail. We will be more like actually into products so you can see it in action, and we'll be going through sort of almost a bit of a training webinar. This is more of an education sort of place. The big thing as well is our app marketplace is huge. Like there's so much on there. They've all been rated. Everyone's quite everybody sort of rates the apps, reviews them, so you can see what's good, what's not good, what works for your business. The big thing with the mobile app, if we do have any sort of tradesman or anybody that you're going out to see clients and you're wanting to take payment there and then, we've got a partnership with Stripe, which enables you to essentially get paid on the go. So if you're a plumber, for example, you go out, you do a boiler service, and you send an invoice when you get home. You're waiting, I don't know, 2 weeks, 3 weeks to get paid for this boiler service that you've done. You have to chase it up constantly. Whereas if you're there in person, you can go onto your phone, raise a sales invoice, and then choose to take payment there and then. And you can take the payment on the go, just using your mobile phone. So they can either use Apple Pay, Android Pay. They could even use a card on there as well to take a contactless payment for that transaction. It also will sometimes prompt up a PIN pad for them to put chip and PIN in play. Well, not chip and PIN, contactless and PIN, because there's no card reader attached. So they'll tap the card and it would bring up a terminal for them to enter their PIN for you. So then you can take the payment there and then, instead of having to wait 2-3 weeks to get hold of that client, to get the information, having to potentially send threatening letters. It solves a lot of cash flow problems. Obviously, with it being through a card payment provider, there are additional fees attached to that. But in my sort of experience with clients, when they've started doing that, the bad debt which they've managed to get in from using tools like that sort of outweighs how much the fees are. The fees are minimal compared to how much bad debt you could potentially have from not using something like that. Just some stats on which we've got from Xero. People that don't use any sort of cloud software to do their invoicing, generally speaking, it takes them over 55 days to get paid. When they start using Xero, it takes 25 days. And then when they attach payment services like Stripe, whether they're taking them in person or online, even card payments, it reduces it debtor days down to 10. So just going cloud purely for a compliance reason, in my opinion, there's a whole world out there which could free up a lot of cash flow for you guys. I know obviously there will be fees associated with it, but even just raising your sales invoices on the go, it saves you a lot of time.
Wow. Right. Sounds great, Matt. So it sounds like Xero is offering all-in-one, literally everything from um, collecting the payment, recording the receipts, having the bank feed shared with the accountant, and then of course with the automations you can also look into um, how your books looks on the daily basis, right? That
Yeah,
sounds really good. And I think from the record keeping point of view, and also with the timeline quarterly sharing the data with the accountants, there's no much work left after that because everything is already digitally saved and there. So all accountant have to do there is compile it accordingly, and then just after an advisory, they can proceed with the submissions, right?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And like from using something like Xero with your accountant invited in, it enables somebody like Legend Fusion to be able to go in, be able to MTDs. It's a hindrance at the moment to everyone. I'm not going to lie. It seems like a hindrance, but long term, you going on software, it's only going to benefit you because tax planning becomes easier. Telling you how your business can grow becomes easier. Being able to see your profit levels, seeing what's making you're even able to track individual projects that you're working on. So if you're properties, you'll be able to see, okay, that property's making me money, that property's not. Or if you're a builder, that project's making me money, that one's not. What's gone wrong there? And you're able to identify those situations, and the guys at Legends will be able to help with that, to assist with that advisory piece, and help you grow your business out. And yeah, it's a massive benefit. I've got loads of stories of when I was in practice of moving somebody onto cloud software and seeing their turnover. Like one particular one, I built a building contractor. Year one, they came to us, they had 50,000 net profit after tax, and that was when they were on a desktop based accounting software. Year two, when we'd moved them over to Xero, and it enabled us to sort of have a bit more of a collaborative relationship. Their net profit after tax went to 120,000, and then year three it went to 360. Like, just
Impressive.
from being able to give that advice and telling them where they're pricing wrong, it's my biggest success story. I always have to say it just because that is the whole reason why I'm doing what I'm doing. I see the benefit of cloud software being massive for these small business, for you guys. Basically, in the webinar now, there's a real big potential to collaborate more with your accountant and get better insights as to how the business is performing.
Yeah, it is always advisable to go to the person who do the job. Having a software is one thing, but I know from my expertise as well, like people do need advice how to deal with different cost heads and things like that, and how to um, they do need someone like us to proceed and to succeed and to do some tax saving as well. Matt, just a last question on this slide. It's regarding HMRC. So I know the Xero is working very closely with HMRC. What is the one thing you will say that it will make Xero different than any other software in the market for HMRC point of view?
I think it's just purely the fact of not having to have multiple subscriptions for all of the different income streams. We're the only real, there's only full ledger platform which you'll be able to grow with that offers that functionality.
Okay.
Our competitors don't have that. You'll need to take out a subscription for sole trade and a subscription for rental. And also the new AI smart document capture that's come in, it enables sort of the processing time to be reduced massively. Essentially, that's sort of where I would see sort of the big differences from our standpoint. Is it may not look like a cost saving. I'm not going to lie to you that Xero is probably one of the most more expensive options out there on the market. But when you look at it in the whole, if you do have a sole trade and a rental, it's probably more likely going to be cheaper on Xero. And also you'll end up with more functionality by having bank feeds, smart document capture, etc. Like all of these different things. And also the Xero reporting suite as well, which is all fully customizable.
Yeah, I think what it matters at the end is value for the money, and the client can see what is the value being added there, having one tool, everything in one place, and just with one click of a button, you can see what your business is doing, if they're in debtors, if they're in creditors. So I think that's what it is. So let's move to the next slide now. Um, okay. I think this is a subject we have to look into in more details. So we know the threshold is 50K, and it's a mandatory from tomorrow, actually. But what about early birds? So someone who is suppose is not compulsory to join it, and they want to do it from tomorrow or the next year. What is the benefit for them, and why is the best practice?
Yeah, so I think we're starting early. It's just getting your hands on the software, getting used to uploading your documents as frequently as you possibly can, and you'll see you'll see the value instantly from it. Being able to collaborate with your accountant stuff, sort of already said, and sort of the big evidence from MTD for VAT is there. The ones that started on cloud software in 2017 rather than waiting for the deadline, which is 2019, 2022, those businesses, generally speaking, have grown and grown and grown. Well, that's what I saw anyway from my client portfolio and practice, was the ones that adopted it early grew at a more substantial rate. It may just be pure luck, or there may be some sort of evidence behind it. We don't know. But with those clients that moved on to the software earlier, it enabled me to provide them that real-time information, advise them on pricing strategies and things like that, which I was like, it enabled me to do that. It enabled me to do effective tax planning as well. Like I was keeping an eye on turnovers and sort of the profit figures. We sort of almost did a set of accounts at the end of each quarter to double check um, everything to make sure that there wasn't going to be any tax issues. And it enables that sort of workflow for your accountant to give you that service it will do by going early. Obviously, the other thing is as well is if you're if you go early into using software, it gives you a bit of grace to get used to using it. So when it becomes mandatory for you, there's less errors for the guys and girls at Legend Fusion to correct. You won't need a load of time for correction work because you've had a year of practice and learning and refining. There's going to be your stress levels will be brought down because of that, because you're not going to be worried about having to deal with that situation. Just at the bottom of that slide, HMRC do have a goodwill period for the first year. So because it's MTD for income tax, it's new. First year there isn't any fines for late submissions, but when we come into year 2, year 3, it gets quite steep. It's 4-point penalty system, which isn't that bad, but if it's repetitive, sort of you use up all those 4 points and go into it, it's then the fine penalty system can get quite bad. It's sort of £200 instant, and then from there on it builds up and up and up. It does after that fourth strike. It's quite serious. So if you can get used to it, get filing earlier, it's going to make your life a lot easier. In terms of the other big thing as well, you're not going to be the 31st of Jan when it's, well, 9 months after the period ends. You don't really know how your business is doing. Sort of, you're in a situation where you're kind of in limbo almost, and you don't really know what's going on. And in your business, you're in theory, your quarterly updates all to be the due a month after the period ends. So if all of your quarters are up to date, it means that you should get your tax bill earlier so you can budget. And throughout each quarters, you'll be able to have a rough tax estimate to see what you're looking like so you can budget better for the tax side of things. And it will enable you to see what you can reinvest into the business and what needs to be saved for tax purposes. And you'll be able to get that sort of information. And hopefully, if you're a CIS subcontractor in here, if you keep your quarterly updates up to date, you put your filing in, you put your final declaration in nice and early, who knows, you might get your refund quicker. I don't know. I can't say for HMRC, but that may be the case. You may get it. We're hoping we can get to a world where that is the case for it, for that side of things. And as the big thing on there is MTD is not a hindrance in the long term. It's a massive opportunity for you to see more about how your business is performing and how you can run it more efficiently, and how, just improve profit levels, grow it again. Like, that's what MTD is long term. It's that sort of clear visibility on your finances as a sole trader, self-employed or landlord. It's just, it enables that for you. It enables you to become bigger as a company.
Yes, when you say it's an opportunity, I truly believe it is a kind of an opportunity that HMRC is offering to every landlord specifically, that when they come to us in January with no clue what they're doing, and they just have to give us a bank statement at that time and just get surprised with the tax bill. So I think with this MTD, I think one of the biggest win for the early joiner will be the tax planning in advance. So this is one of the key factor, and this is how anyone who's not even a businessman but just a landlord or have some additional money coming in and out, they can plan it well what to do, specifically with the cash flows, with the situation like nowadays with inflation and everything. I think this is a key thing, that they need to know what they have to pay at the end of the year. Right.
Yeah.
And of course, it does help a company like us to minimize the error, because we will have more time, we will have more opportunity to sit down with the client, and of course, we will have more opportunity to review the progress of a business, and then there will be an opportunity for us to guide and to tell the businesses what to do in terms of advisory, how to grow it, where to cut the cost, and what are the best practices going forward. So yeah, all of that I'll say that is a kind of an opportunity that everyone should grab. Um, so so how do you avail this opportunity? So I will say that at Legend Fusion, we are pretty much ready for this opportunity to help our client to support with this MTD program. As we got expertise with VAT and we run it very successfully, and now because we have a partnership and collaboration with Xero, we have the right tools, we have the right team fully trained team, well educated. They know what MTD is, how it works, what the timelines are, and we have a very well thought program for the clients who will be joining us, or even for the client we already working with to work with MTD. So, for example, anyone who will be falling into the category, regardless of the new client or the existing client, we will review their readiness and we'll check and we'll do a session with them to start with, and then we will help them to start their onboarding on the Xero with them migrating their data and everything, how to connect the bank and wherever the support needed with this with the software, we will be helping them. And of course there will be quarterly review, and there will be a support with the submission alongside with the advisory and as well. And the good thing is everything will be digital. They don't have to share the bank statements. They don't have to share the receipts with us. They don't have to keep it because it's already digitally saved on the platform. And if a question asked by HMRC, it can be produced there and then. So less what you call it, margin for the error, and more accuracy and better planning. And together with the Xero, I think we are pretty much ready to help the client who fall into the category there. Anything you want to add up there? What do you think of it?
No, I think that's perfect. Yeah.
Right. So no, I will need your feedback in here. What do you think? Why an accountant and a software are important, and how they can work together to deliver what is needed there?
Yeah. So I think in general, just like using the accountant alongside the software, it enables, again, the accountant's expertise of tax planning, business advisory, pricing strategies, things like that. It fully enables them to properly help you with your business and help it grow. Like for me, being an accountant myself, I know like the most rewarding part of the job was seeing that one example I said earlier, where they've turned their net profit after tax from 50 to 300 odd thousand in 3 years. That was probably the most rewarding thing I ever had in practice. And as accountants, we're always fairly, generally speaking, everybody who I've come across in my sort of time at Xero, the main primary focus is I want to help my clients and I want to support them in a way where I can help them grow and grow their business. And that's the main sort of thing of why you should have an accountant alongside Xero. With sort of the partnership that Xero has with Legend Fusion, Legend Fusions has started very early on their full digitization. So not only have they looked at sort of MTD for VAT and MTD for income tax, they've started to prepare like limited companies and go the ones that aren't on software currently and fully digitizing the whole firm. So they're fully committed to a full digital sort of strategy going forwards, where essentially sort of desktop Excel is going to be left in the dust over in a couple of years' time. But we're on that sort of journey together. The one thing I would say is, as well, MTD for income tax is the unknown. A few people have tried it out on beta for the last year, but they've maybe only tried it out for themselves, or as an accountant, maybe they've tried it out for 2 clients. Nobody's seen what it looks like on a full scale yet. So the people that, generally speaking, what we saw from MTD for VAT is the firms that prepared early, like the guys on the call today, generally speaking, have come out on top. now we're down the line for sort of MTD for VAT, they've generally are sort of the main people to go to for it. They're also I believe you can correct me if I'm wrong, but all of the staff at Legend Fusions which will be dealing with you are Xero Advisor certified as well. So they know the
Yeah.
software inside out, and they will be able to assist with sort of any technical questions on how do I take a photo, how do I raise a sales invoice, or what should I code it to. And again, the data security aspect of it, Xero is fully secure. We've never had a data breach from our side of things. So you can be rest assured that we're a fully secure platform. And we have to go through so much security training and security to even just log into our laptops each morning. So if I've got to do that and I don't deal with confidential data, imagine the people that do deal with that, what they have to do to get into their computers each morning.
Yeah, that's right. So we know this for sure that the software is protected, is safe. The Fusion has an expertise, and we have the team who is well equipped, well trained, and have the understanding of inside out of the software itself. So I think together with the partnership, we're the best fit at the minute. Alongside that, we do have a promotional offer running into the app pro for the very first month. If we have any client who will be joining Legion Fusion, and of course they will be using the Xero, we'll be offering a 50% discount, even cheaper than what Xero is directly offering them on from their website. So they will be having additional discount on the product while taking our service. And after this webinar, I think the market team will be sending out an email with the promotion code on the Xero, and also there will be some discount available for our services as well. So yeah, there's a lot to do. Like we are very competitive. One of the question I think, Matt, coming will be how the pricing will work, how effective it is. Specifically, we're talking about a small businessman or kind of an accidental landlord. They're having one or two properties. They're not actually doing a business, but it could be an additional cost and burden. And we thought it could be a best thing for us for early bird to offer them a promotion on the price, not only Xero, but on all our services as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as I say, the standard sort of Xero subscription off the website for sole traders who are non-VAT registered is £7 plus VAT a month, is roughly what you'd be speaking at full price, and that's what we'd be looking at for the subscription to be able to do that.
Yeah, and yeah, again on the pricing, if someone go ahead and prescribe the Xero through Fusion, they will be having a 50% off on whatever the Xero is offering for first 12 months. Alongside that, our fee will be for 5 to 6 submission will be around £1,000 depending on the size of the business. But if someone is joining us in Appro, they will be having a 10% discount for the first year. So again, it's a heads up, anyone who's joining us. Would you mind to summarize it, what we go through it, and I will add up if there is anything?
Yeah, I would say sort of the main sort of takeaways from this is MTD is happening, whether you like it or not, unfortunately.
Yeah.
The best thing you can do really is just prepare early, get onto software, enable yourself to sort of grow the business and also be compliant with the revenue. This isn't purely a compliance piece, it's a whole business shift. It's a shift in the whole of the UK. There's over the 3 years, there's 2.7 million taxpayers that are affected by this. It's not a small number of people. It's a large sum of people that are going to be affected by this, and 44% of them are currently unrepresented by an accountant. So you guys having an accountant to help keep you compliant is generally going to be the best situation to be in. They've got the tools, they've got the knowledge, the experience to sort of back up that situation and leave you in basically put you into a good place for this, is what I would say. Is just get started. Really, is sort of my next steps. Just get started, get stuck in, give it a test run.
Yeah, that's right. So we know it's happening, as you say, you like it or not, it's happening, and be on the right channel. Have the right thing from the day one. And Xero is well known. We got very good reviews. We're in the market for 15 years, so why not choose the best one to deliver the job? Right. I think we got last 10 minutes, and I can see there are a few questions there. So let's look into the question and answer session. Oh, I got four at the minute. So I got the first one. Oh, the first one is about the costing as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the question in
Well,
here is,
I can.
yeah,
I mean, I can definitely answer this. Like, so the question is, do you think the overall cost of MTD compliance using Xero accounting software is
yeah,
proportionate for small or low transaction businesses, or does it create a financial burden relative to their size? So, this is a debate I've had in my brain for the last year. Like, I'm very much in the, I know I work for a software company and I'm on the other side of the fence almost, but I think if we look at it bigger picture, for a small low transaction business, £7 a month shouldn't be too bad, obviously, in terms of cost. I think that's quite good value, £8.40 if we're including the VAT side of things. I generally think it's the right price point for it. Again, with all of the tools to make it a lot quicker for you, etc. It doesn't matter how small it is, you'll still see the efficiencies. And if you aren't wanting to grow, then it will still save you a heap of time on manual admin, really, is what I've seen from my time in practice anyway.
yeah, yeah. The price is there. We have to move on with that. But yeah, but I think overall the benefit when we consider value for the money, that's what we should be looking at. I think there's a few more questions. You want to take any more questions from there?
Yeah, I'll go through them all. I'll answer them all.
Okay, okay,
I can
okay.
go. So, how does MTD traditional differ from traditional tax reporting methods in terms of record keeping and submissions? So, each quarter they are quarterly updates, not submissions. I may have said submissions and filings a few times. Apologies if anybody from HMRC is watching this. I have got that wrong. They are updates, so they are estimates as to where the business is at that point during the year. And then you do one final declaration to confirm that all of your figures are correct and accurate. And that's how it sort of differs from the quarterly reporting. And when I say quarterly, the quarters are cumulative. So your first one will be 1st of April to 30th of June, then it's 1st of April to 30th of September, 1st of April, 31st of December, 1st of April, 31st of March, like so. So it builds out a year and they'll be able to see those whole transactions.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
that's sort of what I would say is the main differences with that side of things. We have this one. So, what are penalties for non-compliance with MTD, and how can Xero help mitigate those risks? So, penalties, as I've said, 4 penalty points. Year one, there's no penalty points, so you don't have to worry about it. But when we come into the next time, there'll be 4 penalty points system. After that, so you get basically 4 strikes and you're out. It's the best way of putting it. Then you have a £200 fine, and then they increase from there. Xero will help mitigate those risks from essentially keeping on track of your filings. You'll be able to see when they're becoming due. You'll be able to keep all of those up to date as and when.
Right.
Perfect.
I think the question about the deadlines and the phases again, I think we already answered that one.
Yeah.
What is the best practice should a business adopt now to stay ahead of the future MTD requirement?
Yeah, I would say start putting stuff into cloud software. I know I'm from Xero, and Xero would be my preferred choice, and I think it'd be Legend Fusions, but it may not be. Xero doesn't fit every single business type. is what I would say to you. There may be a kind of software which suits your business in particular, which would be better, but just get onto software, start raising invoices, start taking photos, just start to adopt early is the best way of putting it. Really, that's what I would say.
Yeah, that's right. I got two questions from I believe the same person. The person is asking, is there any way that we can any option to submit the return through paperwork? That's one. And the same person have asked another question. If the property is in a foreign income, can we declare it through Xero or MTD?
Yep. So for options through paper, no, it's making tax digital, so it all needs to be through digital software. So all of the manual paperwork will need to be uploaded to software of some ilk. With foreign property income, Xero can deal with that, so you'll be able to upload those documents and be same sort of subscription and processing it that way.
And it has the same threshold limits, right?
Yeah. So foreign property, when I said property
Rental,
income and sole trade, that also includes foreign property in that side
foreign
of things.
property. Okay,
Yeah.
right. There's another question that what are the common challenges business face when transition to the MTD? So the transition period, I think this is one of the common question that everyone should have at the minute.
Yeah, I would say sort of one of the big challenges is change. Nobody likes change, and getting used to sending stuff off on a quarterly update, very different to how you've done it before. Getting used to use the software, etc. It's very very different from that side of things. It's very
R-
different for you guys. I think change is the biggest issue in this is adapting to change and being open to change, and that's how you'll be able to deal with it.
Right, amazing. I think we got two more questions, and that is purely for fusions. Would the
Yeah.
latent fusion will be filing a return? So again, the updating, not the filing. So yes, we will be helping the client with reporting it through MTD platform. And what are the discounts available? So as I mentioned, the discounts are on whatever the Xero subscription is at the minute. If you buy it directly from Xero, it will, for a sole trader, it will be £7 plus VAT per license. But through Legends, you will have the 50% discount to have the software, number one, and that option will be available only if you take our accountancy and advisory services as well. And our accountancy service um, uh, uh, for um, for annual services, depending on the threshold, it will start from £1,000. But anyone who will be joining us in App Pro will have a 10% discount for early joiner. Right. I believe I have responded that. And yeah, is there anything else, Matt? Any other question you can see there?
Let me
So
have a
clear from
look.
my end.
Oh, here we go. We got a couple more final ones. Repeat, automate repetitive account tasks for established businesses. What kind of time savings can we realistically expect? From a small business owner, I can't give you the stats. I can give stats from accountancy firms of sort of what we've seen the efficiency gains. We've seen anywhere from when they've full scale digitized, it will reduce generally year one by about 25% in time and admin, and sort of by year two they're down to half the original time. Been And that's without sort of doing advisory. That's just pure compliance work. So the manual repetitive stuff, which then frees them up to give advice. And this is what we find a lot of accounting practices who haven't digitized, they don't have the time to really sit down with clients and give them advice, whereas the ones that have digitized, like Legend Fusion, are enabled to do that sort of work for you and have the free time to be able to do that.
Yeah. And yeah, I got the last one. We'll take this last question now, and it's a kind of interesting one about the threshold. So, what do you think of it? The question is, for a sole trader exceeding 50K threshold, shouldn't be wise to proceed to become a limited company. I think that's pretty much a personal choice or a business decision. But what you say on this?
I would say, yeah, it's personal. I'd say it's personal choice if you don't want to deal with compliance. I have to be careful with what I say because I'm not allowed to give out accounting advice. But I would say that it depends also on tax. It depends if it's beneficial for you tax wise to go limited as well. I would have a look into that situation. I'd sit down with your accountant and explore those options. And that's what I would
Yeah,
personally do.
yeah, that's what it is. I think this is more about sitting down with an advisor or an accountant to see the circumstances and then making a decision that is it wise to go ahead with LTD limited or still go ahead with sole trader. It's pretty much depending on the situation. There's no here and there question here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. I think we will close the session now. Thank you very much. We are pretty much in time. Um, Thank you very much, Matthew, for joining us and giving us a real insight from perspective of MTD, how it works, and specifically from Xero, how the Xero is there. Thank you very much, and we'll catch up in future. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everyone who joined us today.